this and inspire.
Week 16 in the NBL and the run to the playoffs continues. Today on Sunday Basketball, we'll take in all the action. Townsville on the road to West Sydney. The Perth Wildcats hosting an Andrew Gazeless Melbourne Tigers. And Wollongong on the road to Titletown, home of the defending champions, the Adelaide 36ers. Today, we'll have all the action. Hello and welcome to Sunday Basketball. Good to have you with us this morning for a big program as we wrap up another very exciting weekend in the NBL and WNBL competitions. The playoffs, they are edging closer. Now just 7 weeks away in the NBL. Also this morning, the latest from the NBA. And we go live to Phoenix to chat with new Phoenix son Luke Longley. Also, the last Australian interview with Andrew Gaze before he headed to San Antonio to join the Spurs. And Kobe Bryant from the Los Angeles Lakers. We will take in his story as well, the brand new marketing machine perhaps for the NBA. So plenty for us to get through. Let's meet our panel this morning. And as always, it is a very good morning to leading basketball writer Andrew Johnston. AJ, welcome.
Clinton, good morning.
Plenty happening, isn't there?
Plenty going on, isn't there? We just can't wait for the NBA season to start and the NBL starting to hot up in the run of the playoffs.
It certainly is indeed. And today we're joined by someone in his 5th season in the NBL, 5 eventful seasons as well. Rookie of the Year for the NBL while at Brisbane in 1995 and last year winning a championship with the Adelaide 36ers. Now he is averaging 17 points a game for the West Sydney Razorbacks in their NBL debut. John Riley, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure being here.
A nice early flight for you this morning, but you love talking hoops.
Oh, yes. I'm up that early every morning, so it's nothing new.
What about the loss on Friday night to the Townsville Crocodiles? Obviously, you're still talking playoffs, but it makes it just a little bit harder.
Definitely, that was a big game for us Friday night. Had we have won, 5th spot was maybe an option, but now we're back in the pack and 2 games below 500, so we're digging ourselves a bit of a hole right now.
Big one next week against Perth.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later on. But first of all, as we do at this time every Sunday morning, let's get things started with the top 10 plays of the week. Here they are, the top 10 from last week's Week 15 of the NBL. And we tip things off in Townsville. It's the Crocs versus the Tigers. 6 seconds to go, and Melbourne needs a basket for the win.
The game is over! The game is over! Oh, the Crocodiles win it! That's right! The final score! The Townsville Victoria Crocodiles 90! The Melbourne Tigers 89!
To Brisbane for number 9 as Roger Smith dishes up this sweet assist.
That tremendous picture, wonderful finishing by Delaney.
Great assist from Roger Smith.
The intensity is there from the board.
Adelaide's David Stiff swings in at 8 for this reverse slam.
But that man David Stiff, and here he goes.
Oh! The reverse dunk from David Stiff.
He has played the game of his life tonight. He really has.
At 7, it's Stiff again, coming just in the nick of time.
And misses. Oh! David Stiff! Terrific work. David Stiff has 16 for the game, but none better than those 2 points right on the buzzer.
The Razorbacks may have won the Sydney showdown, but Kelsey Weems took the honours here against Derek Rucker.
Riley and Rucker combine. What a block! Kelsey Weems jumping upstairs and swatting the ball back down Derek Rucker's throat.
Back to Adelaide for number 5 as Brett Maher and Mark Davis hook up for the alley-oop.
Beautifully to Maher. Oh! Mark Davis, game number 401, still going strong. Great work. He got a standing ovation before the game. He just got another one then.
Terry Johnson steals his way in at 4, picking off the pass and setting up Pat Reedy for an easy 2.
Work there from Terry Johnson. He persevered and he was rewarded. Pat Reedy from close range will add the 2.
Boy, how much can one man do out there? Terry Johnson, great hustle play, getting a piece of it, pulling it down, dribbling away from the pressure, creating a little crease for himself, finding the open player.
At number 3, bullet Thaddeus Delaney blows by Blair Smith for this power jam.
Jams it in.
And it's another slam at 2, this time a trademark from 36er Darnell Mead.
Great work to me. Brilliant stuff. The pass was on the money. Darnell Mead popped it back and excited the crowd with a big jam.
And our number 1 play of the week comes from 16-season veteran Mark Dalton, who shows Hawks fans one of his best party tricks.
Dalton. Now that's some sort of chuck from Mark Dalton. Put that on the highlight reel if you don't mind. Mark Dalton, to the applause of the fans and his teammates, saw himself cornered without much room for the shot and thought, heck, I'll give it a go. And he came up with the goods.
He certainly did. Mark Dalton there with the number 1 play. But Adelaide's David Stiff was voted the NBL's Player of the Week for his game against Canberra last week. His best game in an Adelaide uniform, hitting 13 of 15 shots on the way to 30 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks in there as well as the 2 assists as the 36ers beat Canberra 105-87. Well, the world of basketball has been getting plenty of attention in the sports pages this week. Time now for us to bring you up to date as we check the headlines on what has been happening. Leading the way is a $45 million deal for Luke Longley, who has left the Chicago Bulls and signed a 5-year deal with the Phoenix Suns. At the age of 30, this will just about see him through for his NBA career. He spent 2.5 seasons with Minnesota and the last 4.5 at Chicago. We are hoping to speak with Luke from Phoenix this morning. Andrew Gaze officially signed on the dotted line for San Antonio on Friday morning our time, a 1-year deal rumoured to be worth anywhere between $470,000 and $780,000 Australian dollars. Gaze has joined David Robinson and Tim Duncan in practice. The Spurs will meet Houston this weekend in their opening exhibition game. Their season starts on February 6 at home to Sacramento. We will hear from Gaze shortly. Simon Dwight from the West Sydney Razorbacks, meanwhile, has rejected a chance to join Gaze in the NBA, declining a 1-year deal to join the Charlotte Hornets, which would have netted him $500,000. We will hear from his manager, Grant Cadee, and also the general manager of the Razorbacks, Robbie Cadee, a little later. While there is some good news with 3 NBL veterans, Fisher, Crawford and McDonald, all heading towards full fitness. Fisher played yesterday, Crawford and McDonald will return next week to the NBL. So some good news there for some of the veterans of the league. But back now to Andrew Gaze, who departed last week for San Antonio for his second stint in the NBA, having played 7 games for Washington in the 1993-94 NBA season. He said he wouldn't have gone back had it not been for the great support of his teammates, family and friends, many of whom were at Melbourne Airport last Sunday to see him off. It all happened so fast that he had to leave poor wife Melinda and young daughters Courtney and Phoebe back home for a week or so before they will join him in Texas. And just before Andrew Gaze boarded the plane bound for San Antonio and the home of the Spurs, he spoke with Andrew Johnston, his final interview on home soil.
Leaving the Tigers is probably the only thing that made it complicated. You know, my entire life has been the Melbourne Tigers, and to be in a situation where the team is now embarking on a championship campaign where we could legitimately lay claim to say that we would be one of the favourites to win the title, to now be in a position where I take myself out of the opportunity to be a part of that, it's very, very difficult. But the support I've had from the club and all the guys and my dad and the management has really helped me ease the pressure on myself, because, you know, every single person has said, yep, this is the right thing to do.
Did you see this one as being the final roll of the dice? You know, I mean, you've had offers in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had different sort of offers, and no question. I suppose the reality of it is it's just a freak of circumstances that has given me this opportunity. So, you know, maybe it's fate, I don't know what you call it, but I have no explanation for it other than to say that I'm one of the luckiest blokes in the world, that just, the old saying, in the right place at the right time, I guess. And it's just lucky that the management of the Spurs and the coach have sort of broad-minded enough to, because it is a gamble on their part, you know. They could be ridiculed for making a decision like this. So, you know, I think that just very, very grateful.
As you said earlier, probably the best thing about this is you won't have to carry the bags as a rookie.
Well, I hope not. Hey, but if that's what it takes, I'm more than happy to do it. Make no mistake about it. Big Dave, Big Tim, carry your bags for you, big fellas. No problems at all.
7 foot, you're not arguing, are you?
Absolutely not. You know, they. Plus, you're talking about, well, with Dave, a legend of the game, and Tim, a definite probably Hall of Famer. So, you know, it's going to be great to say, hey, I was alongside them, I met them. Maybe I can get their autograph.
All right, Andrew, good luck with it and all the best.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Is he good or what? Andrew Gaze there with Andrew Johnston. And this is who Gaze burned most in his NBL career. He performed best against the now-defunct Geelong Supercats, averaging 37 points per game across 24 matches against the Cats. He also enjoyed his 35 meetings with Adelaide, averaging 36.1. At the other end of the scale, Frankston, who were in the league when Andrew Gaze started, held him to 45 points across 2 meetings, while he averaged just 29.4 points per game against the former Spectres and Magic. But what about that stat at the bottom? Going into this weekend, since 1984, with Gaze missing from the lineup, the Tigers won just 4 of 22 matches. He certainly is the factor, and the bookmakers are certainly aware of this as well. As we take you to the latest betting, this is the odds to win the NBL Championship. Prior to this weekend's rounds, the Tigers have blown out from clear favourites to number 5 on the betting sheet, paying $10 for a $1 investment. Victoria has shortened to championship favourite just inside of Adelaide. Perth and Wollongong are paying $8, while Brisbane at $16 is considered by some to be a good bet. John Riley, what about your team, the West Sydney Razorbacks, at 40 to 1 there, paying $41 for a $1 investment? Should we get on board the Razorbacks? Do you still consider yourselves a chance?
Oh, well, as long as we make the playoffs, we consider ourselves a chance, but our goal right now is to solidify ourselves in the top 6, and the old cliche, once the playoffs begin, anything can happen.
All right, let's talk about your time now at the Razorbacks, all 18 weeks of it. How have you found it? Your big move across from a championship team with Adelaide last season. How are you finding your first season at West Sydney?
It's been a very enjoyable move so far. You know, professional sport, things can change quickly, but looking to hopefully make this a long and prosperous career in the Sydney area.
What about the expectations, John? We spoke about it a little off-air earlier on, in that certainly from within the organisation there's a belief that this team is good enough to go to the playoffs. Outside of the organisation it's a little different. No one expected too much.
Yeah, well, when the season first started, there was a lot of question marks as to how the team would go. We got into the season, we started off very well, and probably the bar was raised a little bit, and now we've given ourselves a good shot at making the playoffs, but we need to build some momentum.
Do you still find yourself taking a sneak look at the standings, see where Adelaide is right now?
Oh, no, that's been and gone, and you know, I'm just worried about the Razorbacks right now. We're in a dogfight for the playoffs, so I can't be worried about other teams.
And what about the decision of one of your teammates, Simon Dwight, to turn down that offer with the Charlotte Hornets? Had he left you, it might have left you with a bit of a hole. Were you surprised that he knocked back that offer?
We were just surprised to hear about it all. It was kind of sprung on us midweek, so it was kept very low-key within the organisation. And obviously Simon feels he's made the right decision, and all of his teammates are happy that he made that decision.
And he's been keeping it low-key this week, hasn't he, AJ?
Certainly has. I tried to catch Simon earlier in the week to find out just why and where it stood and why he could possibly turn down that offer. But we haven't heard back from him, and I haven't seen too many quotes from Simon this week.
Well, I spoke with West Sydney General Manager Robbie Cadee about Simon's decision during half-time of the Razorbacks-Townsville match on Friday night. Here is what he had to say about it.
If you take the financial side out of it a little bit and just assess what he's made an assessment on how he can develop his game, I suppose in a lot of ways it's a compliment to the NBL that he's made. Certainly we'd have to say a compliment to us that he believes he can stay as he is at the moment, playing, he's enjoying playing, he thinks he's progressing, he believes he does, and playing in the NBL he believes is the best way right now for him to develop. And obviously he's got his sights set on the 2000 Olympics. That is one of his major, well, it is his major goal. So I think he's weighed it all up and assessed it and made the decision only he could make.
Working in Eric Cooks into the baseline and back to the right-hand side.
This morning, coming up next, our weekend NBL wrap continues with the Friday night matches. Canberra at home to Wollongong, West Sydney welcome the Townsville Crocodiles into town, and the next megastar in the NBA, Kobe Bryant, part one of our feature, still ahead.
And me and her, simultaneous, you and me, and we know the rider simultaneous loving, baby.
What do I think of when I think of the Cannons? They play hard, not a lot of talent, but they play hard.
They got this crybaby named Melvin Thomas.
Baby, please have an open mind. You're the only one I love. These girls you're seeing, baby, they don't mean anything. Let's all get in the tub.
What do I think of when I think of the Canberra Cannons? I think of those really old guys, Ray Borner and Mike Mackay.
The Hawks continue their charge towards the playoffs as they take on the Cannons. Live 2 o'clock this Saturday on ABC TV.
Now that'd be a party, ladies.
Hi, I'm Glenn Salver from the Wollongong Hawks and you're watching Sunday Basketball on ABC TV.
Yeah, should be an interesting one next Saturday, shouldn't it? The Wollongong Hawks against the Canberra Cannons in our game of the week. Well, the NBL round tipped off on Friday night with 2 matches, including the game we brought you on Friday night basketball, and it was the same match. The streaking Wollongong Hawks, they called into the nation's capital to play the Canberra Cannons, and while the Cannons were gallant, they could not stop the juggernaut. The Hawks making it 6 wins on end with a 5-point win, 89-84. As we check the match highlights for you, the win propelled the Hawks to second on the ladder, but this one was tight all the way. Canberra leading by 5 at quarter time and 2 points at half time. The Hawks, though, won a low-scoring second half, 39-32 to get the win. Clayton Ritter exploded for 35 points, 10 rebounds. AJ, we've been waiting for Clayton Ritter to get going for a while.
He was sublime in the first half of that game, wasn't he? I think 22 points in the first half, kept it going with 8 points in the third, and really kept Wollongong in that particular game when the Cannons appeared that they could blow it out.
John, you watched this match. The Canberra Cannons, they certainly were in there with fighting. They had a chance, didn't they?
Yeah, Canberra's been in that situation a lot this year where they've been there at the end. So whether it's just that they run out of gas or what the thing is, but Canberra, you got to give them credit. They come out and play hard every night.
AJ, this drops the Cannons to 6-11 on the season. Second bottom now, 2 games out of the playoff 6. Are they gone?
I think they are. Yeah, look, certainly mathematically, and we spoke about this last week also, is they can make it. They would need to go on a great roll to finish the season. I just don't think they're playing with sufficient confidence to get that done right now.
Clayton Ritter had plenty of scoring support. CJ Bruton and Matt Campbell both filling it up. John, how legitimate are Wollongong? We'll see their match against Adelaide, which was played on Saturday night a little later on this morning. Do you give them a chance in a 3-game series in the playoffs against the big teams, Victoria, Adelaide and so on?
Oh, definitely, because Wollongong has good size up front and then they have some good guards. But I think the key to their team is probably the contribution that Seville and Campbell give them night in and night out.
As you see, pretty tight. Wollongong up by just 3 there. They drop in that long 3, courtesy of CJ Bruton. The Cannons tried to fight their way back. Mackay with a 3 on the buzzer, but a 5-point game. The end result, 89-84 as we check the details. Clayton Ritter 35 leading the way. CJ Bruton with 19. Matt Campbell 14. Melvin Thomas and Troy Pillen both had 17 for the Cannons. Thomas 13 rebounds as well. Ray Borner and Javon Scales each had 14 in Ray Borner's testimonial game. And after the game, Clayton Ritter was asked about the Hawks' win.
Everybody stepped up on different nights and gotten good points. Sav's playing tremendous basketball. CJ's playing well. Matt, everybody's playing up to their potential, and it really takes a lot of the pressure off of us imports, so we don't have to come out and score 35 points a night. And that's encouraging, and that's what's going to help us win down the stretch.
Clayton Ritter there, thanks to a big game, 35 points and 10 boards. Also on Friday night, the West Sydney Razorbacks and the Townsville Crocodiles locked horns, with West Sydney's home court advantage expected to give them the edge. But the Crocs, who had won just 1 of 7 matches away from home prior to this, stormed home with a 26-12 last quarter to win the game by 13 and edge their way back into the top 6. Here are the highlights of what was a remarkable game. Townsville led 44-22 with 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter and then conceded the next 24 points in one of the most remarkable runs in NBL history. West Sydney took the lead by a couple. Simon Curl tied it up on half-time. The Razorbacks then went 5 clear in the third term. The Crocs cut it back to 1 at the last change, and they went on with it from there. Andrew Goodwin, Sam McKinnon and Simon Curl getting the job done as Townsville made it 4 wins in a row. John, what about this game and that second quarter? You can see the scoreboard here. Crocs led by 22 and you guys scored 24 straight. That was bizarre.
Yeah, during that second quarter, we finally decided that we wanted to play, and we showed how we can play once we decide to turn it up a bit, but probably given 22 points head start is not a good idea.
It was that old deep hole syndrome, as we spoke about after the game. You dig yourselves a big hole, expend so much energy getting out of it, you just didn't have enough to go on with it.
Very much so. Plus, it's probably a mental game as well to come back from 22, you feel that you've done a good job, and there's probably that letdown after that, and that was probably the case Friday night.
Simon Curl had a big final quarter. 3 3-pointers in a row was certainly very important, as we see you give a nice dish off there to Bruce Bolden. Simon was big.
Yes, very clutch, 3 threes, and especially at that stage of the game, very hard to come back.
Their defence, John, we talked about them going on a 24-0 run there at one stage. They held the Razorbacks to 79 on the road, which is an outstanding effort, and they've really cranked up the defensive intensity over the past month. Did you really feel that out there, that they were playing extraordinary defence at 78 points a game over the last 5?
Definitely, they've picked it up in all areas over the last couple of weeks, but I think what it come down to is they're in the same situation as us for the playoffs, and I think they just wanted it more than us.
We will check the scoreboard there as you see. The handshakes afterwards, the Crocs home 92-79. Andrew Goodwin, 25 points, 11 rebounds. Sam McKinnon, 19 and 11. As I said, Simon Curl broke the game open in the last quarter. He had 18 points in 27 minutes. Our guest, John Rillie, led the Razorbacks with 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Simon Dwight, 16 and 9 rebounds. Derek Rucker, 15 and 9 assists, but seemed to be limping a little bit afterwards. After the match, I asked Sam McKinnon about the turnaround in the Crocs game over recent weeks, with the 4 straight wins now pushing them into the top 6.
Yeah, we had a bad start to the year, and obviously that reflected in our road record, and we're being bagged a bit on the road, and tonight we've beaten the Tigers, beaten the Titans, we blew out the Kings, and we had to come out tonight and have a tough win, and we did that.
Andrew Goodwin starting to show his potential.
Goody's been great all year. I can't say enough about Andrew Goodwin. He was meant to be coming off the bench for us this year, and with the opportunities with David Panisa getting injured, Goody stepped into that starting spot, and he's just been awesome. And he gets a lot of layups, and Goody's just there. He's been great.
Sam McKinnon, perhaps Townsville, after the playoffs for the first time. Well, the retirement of Michael Jordan provided not just disappointment for basketball fans everywhere, it also left a giant hole for the NBA to fill in terms of marketing and merchandise. And while the league's younger players have all said that any new number one should have to earn that tag, it appears that the Kobe Bryant marketing machine has already pounced on the now less crowded marketplace. Here is part 1 of a series which will conclude next week on rising Lakers star Kobe Bryant.
Kobe does extraordinary things in unlikely time. And when the great ones do something special, they do it matter-of-factly. Is going to be the torch carrier for Adidas.
In scenes inspired by some of Hollywood's classic horror movies, one of the world's most promising basketball players struggles to succeed against half-glimpsed monsters who block his path and assail him with sneers and contempt.
Think you've got it made.
The commercial, shot on a Hollywood set, was produced to the same high standards as a full feature film, with meticulous attention to detail and lavish special effects. At 17 and straight from high school, Kobe became the second youngest player ever drafted into America's professional basketball league, the NBA, when he joined the LA Lakers.
You got your own shoe, huh? So played.
For the first time ever, a TV commercial focuses not only on the sports star himself, but the psychological pressures he's endured during his first year in the NBA and will continue to face in the years ahead.
Look at him, a Laker at 18.
Think you got it made?
So, this kid's playing in the NBA? Okay, so you won the slam dunk contest. You think you got it made? Yeah. So you got your own shoe, huh? So he's played in the rookie game. You got it made. You think you got it made?
You won the slam dunk contest.
You got your own Kobe Bryant. You got it made.
Just
believe in yourself.
It's an interesting one. We'll have part 2 of the Kobe Bryant story next week in the brand new ad. Shortly, we will talk about Luke Longley and the latest in the NBA as players head here, there and everywhere. And also the WNBL wrap. Penny Taylor from the AIS will be joining us as we continue on Sunday Basketball.
And me and her, simultaneous you and me, and we don't know nada. Simultaneous loving, baby.
What do I think of when I think of the Cannons? They play hard, not a lot of talent, but they play hard.
They got this crybaby named Melvin Thomas.
Baby, please have an open mind. You're the only one I love. These girls you're seeing, baby, they don't mean anything. Let's all get in the tub.
What do I think of when I think of the Canberra Cannons? I think of those really old guys, Ray Borner and Mike Mackay.
The Hawks continue their charge towards the playoffs as they take on the Cannons. Live 2 o'clock this Saturday on ABC TV.
Now that'd be a party, ladies.
Hi, I'm Simon Curl from the Townsville Crocs. You're watching the NBL live on ABC.
Indeed you are. Sunday Basketball. Hope you're enjoying the show. John Riley from the West Sydney Razorbacks joining us this morning. We were hoping to chat with Luke Longley, but unfortunately the big fella in Phoenix isn't answering his phone right now, so we will chat with Luke next week about his move to the Phoenix Suns, having spent 2.5 seasons with Minnesota and 4.5 seasons with the Chicago Bulls. He's now becoming a Phoenix Sun, a 5-year deal, and AJ, a big deal indeed for Luke Longley.
Yeah, certainly is. 5 years, US $30 million, and I spoke with him Thursday. A very, very happy man, as you can imagine.
And he was happy to speak with us.
He was very happy to speak with us, but they are in training camp right now, so he said that that could be a problem, just getting away. They're going 2-3 times a day. But he and his wife, Kelly, who come from the southwest, are delighted to be heading back to that part of the world.
I heard Kelly speaking with Peter Walsh on ABC Radio Sport, and she was asked, are you going to go back to Chicago and back to the cold weather ever? And she said no.
No, I don't think the Longley family will be running back there in a real hurry.
Well, let's have a look at the other movements now in the NBA. There have been plenty of big ones. We'll run you through them briefly. These are where the players are off to. Antonio McDyess has signed a 6-year deal to play again with Denver, having played there prior to his being traded to Phoenix in October of 1997. Scottie Pippen is on his way to Houston. Fellow Bull Steve Kerr will join Andrew Gaze at San Antonio as the breakup of the Chicago Bulls continue. Latrell Sprewell is off to New York, having apologised to everyone for his actions when he tried to strangle former coach PJ Carlesimo. You wouldn't want to be Jeff Van Gundy right now.
No,
would
you would not. No.
Sam Perkins is going to Indiana. Derek Harper, in fact, I think might be on his way to Orlando or LA.
Actually, LA.
He's on the way to LA.
Yeah.
Antoine Walker off to Boston. Brett Barry off to Golden State. And Vlade Divac is going to be a Sacramento King. You can catch up with all of the others in AJ's publication Pro Basketball Today as the NBA movements continue. Well, the NBA may be a place for some very large egos, but what about our own NBL? I went around earlier this season asking some of our own stars just who has the biggest ego in the NBL. Let's find out.
Everybody's got one. It'd be too tough to say, too tough to name.
Kevin Brooks, always grooming himself.
I suppose Tommy's would have to be up there.
Oh, that'll have to go to Pat as well.
A lot of Perth boys, you know, fancy themselves.
I'd have to say Scott Fisher ranks you right up there. That would definitely be the man standing to my left.
I don't know if you can move the camera, but it's Scott Fisher, ladies and gentlemen.
Some people keep their eagles in a bottom drawer, a fridge full of Leonard Cohen. Have to get drunk to walk out the door, stay drunk to keep on going. So if you got an ego, you better keep it in good shape. Exercise it daily and get it down on tape, 'cause ego.
That would have to go to John Riley from West Sydney Rosebanks.
No, I'd say Simon Curl.
Ask Kevin that one.
Simon Curl.
Well, according to Kevin Brooks, me.
Andrew Gaze. There's a lot of guys with big egos, that too many to mention.
The man to my left, Andrew Walhoff.
I'd have to say Aaron Trahey. He's got a huge one.
The referees, they got the biggest egos in the goddamn game. Biggest egos, referees.
We're all self-centered, normal guys. No one's egotistical. Everyone's great.
Everyone's great, says Sam McKinnon. You're going to send Dean Brogan a Christmas card?
Oh, he's always on the list.
He really had a go at you, didn't he? Well, 3 games played this weekend in the WNBL, and there were 3 one-sided results with wins to Adelaide, Perth and Sydney last night. And joining us to talk about the WNBL and her season so far is someone who had the weekend off this weekend from the top of the ladder AIS. It's very good morning to Penny Taylor. Penny, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
That's right. Thanks for having me.
The AIS this season, you're having a great season. 13 wins, 5 defeats, secured of a playoff spot. Everything in cruise control at the moment under Phil Brown. Is he pretty happy?
Yeah, he's happy with the way we're going. I mean, we've still got 3 games to go, so we're sort of reassessing after each game. You know, see how we go and, you know, set some more goals for future games and looking towards the playoffs.
It's been a remarkably even season so far, hasn't it? Perth secured their playoff spot last night, but those last 2 positions, Melbourne, Sydney, Bulleen, Adelaide, it's really tight, isn't it?
Yeah, those last 4 teams, they're going to be fighting it out hard these last however many games they have left. I mean, everyone's going to want to secure those spots, and it's going to be tough.
Now, the AIS have made the grand final once before, a fair while ago, have never won the title. Are you feeling any pressure?
Oh, not at all. I mean, as I said, we're setting our goals, and we're sort of just taking it one game at a time. You know, whoever we come up against in the finals, you know, we're just going to do our best and take it hard.
Penny, I know the league have opened up a recruiting window over this January period for teams to look at players from the Institute. Is it difficult as a player at the Institute right now to keep your mind occupied on what's going on now and not look too far into the future?
I think that's this WNBL recruiting period is. I think it's good that it's a 2-week period. We can look to our future, you know, see what we're going to do after the AIS, assess, you know, talk to clubs and, you know, just keep our options open. After the 2-week period, we go again focus on the finals.
You don't have to tell us who, but has anyone been on the phone?
Oh, I've been speaking to clubs and just thinking about my future and talking and seeing what is in the cards for me. So.
And what about Sydney 2000? Is that a goal of yours, perhaps? It's a very tough Opals team to try and squeeze into. Is that the goal?
Well, yeah, it's always going to be a goal, the Olympics, and I suppose as long as I'm in that squad, there's always an opportunity for me to break into the team, and until the team is chosen, I'm just going to work my hardest and, you know, break into it, hopefully.
Penny, what about overseas opportunities? We've seen a lot of the WNBL players try their hand overseas in Europe and in the United States. Is that a potential career path for yourself, and does that seem far more attainable now, considering their success?
Oh, well, yeah, some of the Australian girls have just done outstanding jobs overseas. Michelle Timms, Michelle Griffiths. You know, that's always going to be an option for me to play professionally overseas, Europe and the WNBA.
I guess before the interest in the last couple of years, you wouldn't have even seen that as an option, would you? Because Australians really hadn't made their mark overseas?
Oh, it's only, I suppose, recently they have, you know, stood out in the world of basketball, and I mean, I have been thinking about overseas opportunities since, you know, seeing how well they've done over there. So.
Well, I mentioned that 3 games were played yesterday in the WNBL. We're going to have a look at some of the action now for you from second place Perth. They secured their playoff spot yesterday with a 16-point win over the Melbourne Tigers, 76-60. And it was the big names getting the job done For the Breakers, Jenny Whittle with 16 points, Gina Stevens had 15 and Tully Bevel-Aqua 14. Joe Metcalf and Christy Harrower both scored 17 points for the Tigers. Penny, what about the Perth Breakers? A lot of people are talking AIS versus Perth Grand Final. How would you feel about that?
Oh, well, we've had quite a few tough battles against the Breakers. Just recently over in Perth we went into overtime, so we've had...
You've been to overtime 4 of the last 5 times against them. It's a remarkable
right.
stat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've always fun. We match up well with the Breakers, and it's always a tough game. We know we have to work hard to get that game. So, yeah.
And what about the Melbourne Tigers now? They're on a pretty good winning streak going into that game against Perth last night. Do you think this has just derailed their playoff hopes a little bit?
Oh no, they're a very experienced side. They'll bounce back, I'm sure, and with that experience, you know, they'll keep giving teams a hard time.
There are the details on that match. The Breakers 76, the Tigers 60. Gina Stevens was awarded the game MVP for her 15 points and 7 rebounds. We'll also take you through the other results. 2 other matches played last night. Adelaide over Dandenong 72-57. Rachel Spawn had 16. Lucille Hamilton and Ali Douglas both had 15 for the Rangers. Mark Wright's team now has to win all of their remaining 6 games to make the playoffs. And in Shelley Sandy's 250th WNBL game, Sydney thrashed Canberra 80-57. Rhonda Corcoran, 29 points for the Flames. Shelley Sandy had 15 for the Capitals. So the WNBL ladder looks like this now, with the AIS in Perth secured of a playoff spot with 4 weeks of the regular season remaining. Adelaide beginning to consolidate their position, but that 4th spot really is wide open. Melbourne, Sydney and Bulleen having to fight it out. Penny, it's going to be a great finish in the run home, isn't it? Who do you want to play in the grand final?
Oh, I think any of those 4 teams are going to be tough. There's no easy game there at all. The way the season's gone, it could be anyone.
Well, it's been great watching you this season and also the AIS. Best of luck for the run home to the finals, and maybe the AIS can win it for the first time.
For sure. Thank you very much.
All right, Penny Taylor from the AIS joining us here on Sunday Basketball this morning. Well, it's the same the world over. Players moving clubs during the off-season and at times during the season. But rarely do we see many of the men responsible for these decisions, the all-important player managers. We have several prominent player managers in Australia, and one of them has been in the news a couple of times this week. Grant Cadee manages both Andrew Gaze and Simon Dwight, amongst others, and has certainly been busy with the NBA trading period underway. But he took a break this week to go one-on-one with our reporter, Michelle Timms.
Well, this week I thought we'd talk to the man that Australian basketball fans are absolutely hating at the moment, Grant Cadee. Grant, what are you doing to us? Andrew Gaze, gone, out of Australia.
Michelle, I'm sending the greatest player that we've ever had to the best league in the world. How can you hate me for that?
That you are. I mean, it must be an unbelievably exciting time for not only Dree, but Australian basketball. And I must admit, was that or was that not the best kept secret of all? I mean, until that one interview hit the paper about a couple of days before, this came strictly out of the blue.
I think the lockout caused all of that. We had to be very careful about the rules and regulations and respect San Antonio's situation as well. So we didn't scam you guys, we just did the right thing by everybody concerned.
And how long ago did you guys know?
I talked to San Antonio about 12 months ago about Andrew, and we followed that up until the lockout. But once the lockout ceased our communication, we really picked it up again last weekend.
Well, I mean, it's been a huge week for you personally and, of course, for Drewy as well. But the one thing that a lot of people don't know about is you actually had 2 players with the possible signing to the NBA.
Yeah, I had a 12-month negotiation with the Hornets about Simon Dwight, and that came to fruition this week, and they were going to offer Simon a contract, and Simon made a decision not to take that contract. So
it's a tough decision for a young guy to make. It's only a 56-game season, 52 or something like that, and what an experience for him, and to say no.
Yeah, I think that I went through all of those issues with Simon, and he's a pretty intelligent guy, so he took all of that on board, and ultimately it didn't change his decision. He's decided to stay here and play, so I've communicated that to the Hornets.
And Australian basketball, do you have any other players that might suddenly receive a sneaky little contract that we don't know about?
No, I think that Matt Nielsen's getting close to his draft time, and he's a very well-respected young man in NBA circles, and I think that he has everything it takes to be a first-round pick, and I'd gladly broker that opportunity for him.
And so you represent Matty Nielsen. Now, are you going to put him in this year's draft, do you think, or you're not quite sure? Or where's that all standing, like, so Australians aren't going to be shocked or surprised again? Like,
well, at this point, he's eligible in next year, the year 2000 draft in June, but we have the right to put him in early. That's a big decision for both myself and Matty, and there's a lot of homework that goes with that. We need to make sure he's at his very best when his draft day comes. So we'll assess all of that in the lead up to the June draft and make a decision then. And
changing nations for a moment, Shane Hill, another one in your stable. How well is he going? We haven't heard too much about Shane. We did hear that he busted up for a big 46 points in his last game. Can you tell us a little bit about how he's going over there?
Yeah, he's going great. I mean, Shane's a pro, and I think certainly he's of NBA talent, but he's decided to play in Europe, and right now he's the second leading scorer in the Greek league and leads the league in assists. So he has the high game for the year in points at 46 and the high game in assists at 10. So, you know, he's achieved that level at in every country now, and he's going along great. And
are we going to possibly see Shane back in Australia playing the NBL, or do you think he's going to spend, you know, the next few years overseas making some big dollars?
He's very much Australian at heart, and he's made a decision all the way along that he would come back and play next year in the lead up to the Olympics. But, you know, he's doing so well right now that I guess he'll have to consider all of his opportunities at the end of the European season and see if that's still the case.
And it's interesting what you said about the amount of money that he's making over there. Is it right to say that possibly Andrew Gaze could have earned more money in Europe than what he possibly might make in America?
I don't believe I said anything about the amount of money Shane was making over there. That may have been before the cameras were on. But
oh, no, you didn't say anything about the money. I just, like, he is making good money.
Good money. Yeah. He's feeding his family and getting... going along well there, but Andrew certainly could have made more money in Europe. There's no two ways about it. He played there once and led their scoring in Greece, so he's a commodity there, and clearly the decision for Andrew to go to the NBA was more a basketball decision. It wasn't about the money, and while he won't struggle to feed his family either, I think it was made on those grounds.
So all you viewers, please don't hate Grant Lacey. You've seen he's a lovely boy. Sure, he's sent Andrew Gaze, our greatest commodity, out of Australia, but hey, it's Andrew's dream actually coming true, so well done, Grant.
Thanks, and you can all support him. He hasn't left you. He's just representing you all in the NBA. There you go.
Good on you.
Yes, we're all Spurs fans now. Grant Khadid here with Michelle Timms. Plenty more still ahead here this morning on Sunday Basketball. Back to the NBL shortly. Perth versus Melbourne. Big one in Sydney last night. The Bullets on the road to play the Kings. And Wollongong off to Titletown on the second leg of their weekend double.
And me and her, simultaneous you and me, and we're on a rider, simultaneous loving, baby.
What do I think of when I think of the Cannons? They play hard, not a lot of talent, but they play hard.
They got this crybaby named Melvin Thomas.
Baby, please have an open mind. You're the only one I love. These girls you're seeing, baby, they don't mean anything. Let's all get in the tub.
What do I think of when I think of the Canberra Cannons? I think of those really old guys, Ray Borner and Mike Mackay.
The Hawks continue their charge towards the playoffs as they take on the Cannons. Live 2 o'clock this Saturday on ABC TV.
Now that'd be a party, ladies.
Hi, I'm Clayton Ritter from the Wollongong Hawks, and you're watching Sunday Basketball on the ABC.
Well, everyone is talking about the Brisbane Bullets being the sleeper this season, the team going along quietly, minding their own business. Last night, they called upon the Sydney Kings in front of a small crowd at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. The Kings needing a win to keep their playoff hopes flickering, and they came out gunning, taking a 29-17 lead after 12 minutes as we go to the highlights.
Looking for some support. Trahere gets... Oh, what a pass to Nelson and the reverse dunk! Oh, the Sydney Kings are putting on a show here at the moment. Now Weems has to get busy. Hard to the hoop, couldn't finish it off. Smith came up with the rebound, tries his luck. Nilsson, just as the shot clock expires, he gets the points.
That one went in the net. That's how positive he was that the ball was going through.
Good steal from Woodbury, relieved Nilsson of it, and he'll go in for the jam. Well, the landing may have been a little neater. This is Nilsson against the shorter Roger Smith. He'll fancy his chances here, not on the first occasion. Well, good work there from Woodbury at the defensive end to come up with it. Knight and Delaney running with him. 3-on-3 here. Woodbury takes them all on and it tumbles. Now Weems will be too quick for Leroy Loggins and will come up with a shot. No! Loggins gets back and rejects him. Well, Kelsey Weems did something similar to Derek Rucker last week, and Leroy Loggins at 41 at the defensive end he stops, and at the offensive end he drains three. Hill and Delaney wrestling straight away. The ball goes in that direction. No look pass to Nielsen, skirting the baseline. The reverse layup fits, and Brisbane are off and running. Woodbury has Knight in support. He'll finish this in style. They're playing as if it's about to expire. Ben Knight thought about it, then pulled the trigger and maybe regretted it. And Ben Castle off and running. Smith, first man up the floor, is rewarded with another 2. Now McGregor and ACL will join in, but Nielsen wants to post up Leroy. What a block from the weak side. Was that Ben Knight involved or Leroy Loggins? Certainly did a good job against a taller opponent. And Leroy, well, he's done this before tonight, and it's a case of deja vu. This is Loggins, guarded by Smith. Looking back to his favoured left-hand side, long-range hook shot. Only Leroy Loggins could make that shot tumble. Can they put the finishing touches on? Earl inside, good look from Nielsen, and the big man slams 2. Nielsen will take the final shot. It's off the money, and it is another long night for the Sydney Kings. After they started in impressive fashion, they have come up short to the tune of 11 points in the final analysis. The Brisbane Bullets get home 109-98.
Yes, Brisbane winning the last quarter there, 31-22. Leroy Loggins, 28 points on 10 of 12 shooting. He was the Bullets' leading rebounder as well with 7. Steve Woodbury scored 27. The Bullets outscored Sydney 33-9 from beyond the three-point arc, making 11 triples to just 3. Matthew Nielsen was excellent for the Kings with 35 points and 10 rebounds. AC Earl had 26 and 10. The Kings now need to win 7 of their last 8 to make the playoffs. After the game, Leroy Loggins spoke about Brisbane's win.
No, tonight I just tried to focus on the game. I didn't want to force any shots. I just wanted to shoot the open shots and try to play some aggressive D, and that's what I concentrated on doing, and that's what happened. I think we had a good team performance tonight. You know, a few games we've been waiting on Steve to do something, and we haven't been getting it done. I think our defense, we played great defense in the second half. We kind of shut him down, and that was the turning point in the ball game.
Certainly was. Brisbane too good for Sydney. Well, the Wollongong Hawks is one team that looks just about certain to be there when the NBL playoffs get underway. Last night they put their 6-game winning streak on the line when they called in at the Powerhouse to play defending champions Adelaide, who have lost just twice at the Powerhouse all season. The 36ers came out though with their game faces on, mauling the Hawks 30-11 in the first quarter. As we have a look through some of the highlights for you, and Wollongong really didn't get back in the match. They scored just 25 points in the first half, which is a franchise low for points in a half for Wollongong. And when you consider that they have been around for a while, that was very disappointing. But John, what about your team from last season, the Adelaide 36ers, getting well placed to make another run at the title?
Yeah, they're probably just sitting back in the pack knowing that once the playoffs come around, they have the experience and the knowledge of what goes on at that time of the year.
AJ, the Hawks were flat, although Kevin Brooks, as you see there, he certainly wasn't flat. Adelaide really came out to play in this one, never gave the Hawks a sniff.
They were waiting for this one. 2 weeks ago they were beaten up there at Wollongong by the Hawks, and I think they took a little bit of exception to the chest pumping that was going on up there in Wollongong. So it was a chance to make amends, and as you said, they went out, I think it was a 31-14 first quarter. That just about decides it for a team travelling to a place like the Powerhouse.
Well, they led by 21 points, Adelaide, in the third quarter. The Hawks did do well, and as you see in this little run here, they cut it back to 12 and then 11 points in the shadows of three-quarter time. Brett Maher came out, though, with an early 3, and that really did sew it up. And from there on, they were just playing out time. You saw Daniel Mee earlier, almost a triple-double, 9 points, 9 rebounds and 8 assists for Daniel Mee in that game last night. The leading scorer, though, for the 36ers was that man there, Martin Catalini. As you see, David Stiff finishing it off in style again, as he did last week, where he was named Player of the Week. The Hawks got a late 2 from Theron Wilson, but the final score was 87-72, with Adelaide now winning 8 of their 10 home games this season. Catalini with 18, Maher 17 and Brooks 17, although Brooks scored just 4 after quarter time. I mentioned Daniel Mee. Cameron Dickinson stepped up for the Hawks with 19 points. And John, he's a little bit like you. He doesn't mind a shot.
Hey, when you're open, you got to let it fly.
He certainly had a good game. Well, the final game for our review this morning comes from Perth as the Wildcats put out the welcome mat for a Melbourne team that historically has struggled without Andrew Gaze in the lineup. So there was a little bit of history to be made for the post-Andrew era beginning. Let's go to the action now from Perth. The Wildcats against the Tigers.
Full figures, Gordon. Well, Rowan predicted that. Too long. Radke goes in, gets the rebound. This man might do better. Copeland, his first points of the period. Cross court. Nastrovich goes inside. Nice dish there by McDaniel. Van der Putten had his shot effective, but following up is Lau.
Copeland's the man they'll be looking for. Wildcats with the ball, plenty of time to score.
No surprise that during the break, Ray Hunt called a tech foul on Leonard Copeland.
Yeah, Copeland was upset. There was an interchange. He went on and on and on, and Ray Hunt said, OK, I've had enough. You can see the pressure coming from both benches.
Well, they virtually dared him to take that shot, and take it he did.
He's been taking a couple of shots this season from further out than I've seen him, and I think he feels more comfortable now from that range.
Well, I think Ricky really needed one of those to go down for him. He hasn't hit very many of them lately.
McDaniel, that's tackled by Jeffries. How will they call that?
Well, I think that's interesting.
Wickstrom, again, no good.
That's the thing I was talking about, Dennis. Wickstrom's taking good shots. He's just not used to taking them.
Hewitt. Copeland to Timmins. What about the baseline? Goes back to the middle. Radke working against Fisher. Nicely done around the baseline. Little finger roll off the glass.
Good chance here for McDaniel to go by Giddy if he can get isolated.
Lahov, what a big basket that was from the captain. Radke inside. Exclamation point. And this one is in the record books. Big win for the Wildcats. Suddenly, they're back in amongst the playoff teams. Still plenty of work to do.
And if you can believe it, that holding onto the singlet foul was called just a normal foul, not unsportsmanlike. As the Tigers fell to 4-19 without Gaze in the lineup, they've now just won 2 of their last 8 matches. They did get within 7 late in the third quarter, but couldn't get closer. Perth 101-93, the final score. Ricky Grace getting 22 points and 7 assists. Quint McDaniel had 20. Scott Fisher back from injury with 18. Andrew Vlahov 11 points and 19 rebounds. Leonard Copeland had 35 and Mark Bradkey 26 points and 15 boards for the Tigers. That pair teamed for 61 of Melbourne's 93 points. After the game, Scott Fisher was asked about the Tigers' performance.
I think they had a bit of trouble against their zone because at any given time they got 2 guys who aren't really looking to shoot it. So it does put them a little bit out of sync without having that extra shooter there. But I mean, they're still a very dangerous team, and with Bradkey back, I mean, they're still going to win a lot of games.
They certainly will, but they've won just 2 of their last 8. Scott Fisher there chatting after the game. What about the Melbourne Tigers now? Given that they ran away with a sensational start, they've won just 2 of their last 8. Without Andrew Gaze, have the bookmakers got it right?
I think they have. I don't think they can win the championship now. You don't.
So you think they're gone?
Yeah, they won't win the championship. You can't take out 35 points and 7 assists a game 8 weeks out from the end of the regular season and expect to cover that. I would expect them still to go to the Final Four, though.
It's going to be a rare situation then for the Tigers in the off-season. They are going to have to do some serious recruiting.
It will be interesting, won't it? You just don't know whether Andrew will be back after one season with the Spurs. It's said that if he has a good season over there, he may stick around, play another season, and a great way to finish his career in the US, come back and play the Olympics. So the Tigers may be in a situation where they've got to go 2, maybe even 3 seasons without him.
Let's recap those scores now for you from this weekend. 5 matches played in the NBL. All of them were fairly one-sided. 5 games. 2 on Friday night. Townsville rallying behind Andrew Goodwin and Sam McKinnon to beat West Sydney by 13. Clayton Ritter had 35 as the Hawks beat Canberra by 5. Last night, the Perth backcourt of Grace and McDaniel too good for Melbourne in an 8-point win. The Hawks couldn't back up after their Friday night win, losing to Adelaide by 15, while Sydney's playoff hopes took a dive, going down to the Brisbane Bullets by 11. Victoria and Newcastle had the bye this weekend. It leaves the NBL ladder looking like this. 7 weeks of the regular season remaining. Wollongong, they could have tied Melbourne for first place had they beat Adelaide, but they went down. Adelaide up to 3rd. In fact, that's the Adelaide 36ers, not the Adelaide Lightning. We will be kind to the team. They're in a good race with the Victoria Titans now for that 2nd and 3rd spot. Those 2 teams look safe. In fact, the top 4 are all just about certainties to make the playoffs. It was a big game for Brisbane. They would have fallen to 8 and 9 and in a tie for 5th had they lost to the Kings, but they did get up and they look just about assured. AJ, as we keep looking at that, what about that pack in the middle? Who's going to make it? Are you going to be kind to John and say the Razorbacks have got it?
No, I'll be unkind here. I don't think the Razorbacks will make it. I think the Townsville Crocs will make it, and the Wildcats just keep hanging in there. I thought they would have been killed off weeks ago, quite frankly, but they hang in. Crawford to come back shortly. I think they may even grab a spot as well.
Do you want to reply to him?
Oh, we'll just take those words back, post them up around the locker room and get some motivation out of it.
Well, we've got a website here at ABC Basketball where you can keep posted on all of the information, www.abc.net.au/basketball. There is a forum for the fans to have a bit of a chat. Now, question of the week from a student at Murdoch University. AJ, will the Chicago Bulls rebuilding policy backfire on them? Tim Floyd's got a tough job.
Will it backfire on them? Randy Brown, Ron Harper, Bill Wennington, Tony Kukoc, Curtis Staples, I think John is another one. The Bulls this season will stink, quite frankly.
Can they make the playoffs?
No, they can't make the playoffs.
Gee.
Yeah, maybe another season down the track, free up some salary cap room and rebuild for the future, but this season might be a good one for Bulls fans.
Well, we'll keep you posted on all the NBA action. Here's what we've got coming up next week by way of NBL and WNBL for you on TV. A later start than usual on Friday night at 11:10, but watch this one. Newcastle against Adelaide. If the Falcons go under, they will slip to 7-12 on the season. They've lost their last 5. Must-win game for Newcastle at home. Saturday, live from Wollongong, the Hawks at home to the Canberra Cannons. The WNBL, how's this for a match? Bulleen against Adelaide. The Boomers need a win there to try and squeeze their way into the playoff 4. That match from 5, and of course Sunday basketball next week from 9:30. And don't forget, ABC Television Sport brings you the soccer this afternoon from 5, and the cricket is on ABC Radio, your sports leader around Australia. That's on this afternoon from the Adelaide Oval. John, really, what about yourself and the next couple of years? You're getting married, and you're getting married in Jamaica shortly. How did you manage to squeeze this one in?
Well, because I have a fiancée from the States, we took it upon ourselves that we'll come to a happy medium, and Jamaica sounded pretty good at the time.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, well, Bahamas, you didn't look at those sort of options?
Yeah, but Jamaica was the number one option.
Sounds good to me.
What about the move to summer basketball? How do you think it's going? How do you think it can be assessed at this point of time?
I think it's been a positive move so far. We need to keep building on it and gain that momentum and get back out there in the sporting market as time goes on.
We hear the crowds are up 11.5%, that figure coming out a fortnight ago, but we look at the crowd. Sydney last night, only 2,000. Plenty of empty seats at Perth, although there was a good crowd of about 6,000 or so. Your impression?
Yeah, look, it comes down to the Kings and the Wildcats. Both started the season very slowly. Kings fans have well and truly dropped off now. They're like a Madison Square Garden crowd. If the team is not performing, they're not going to come out and support them. The Wildcats, as you said, had 6,000 or so in there, and it can keep happening for them.
Who's going to make the grand final?
Grand final, Adelaide and the Titans are my pick.
Your pick. John, West Sydney against?
Razorbacks and whoever.
You don't mind?
No, I'm not picky as long as we're there.
And your review of the game from Friday night, I believe you were telling me that it doesn't really start till Monday. Gordy McLeod will sit you down to chat about it?
Yeah, he'll probably watch the film numerous times over the weekend and then critique us a bit more in detail on Monday.
What about when you lose? Do you not really personally having a look at the tape?
Oh, you have to really see what... So the pitch is a little clearer, so you don't get onto someone's back too much.
Well, we're seeing plenty of West Sydney to come over the course of the run home with ABC Basketball. Best of luck for it. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we look forward to the invite to Jamaica.
Oh, it's coming.
All right, John, really, thanks for joining us. AJ, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Will do, Clint.
It's hotting up, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be a great finish.
Thanks for your company as well on Sunday Basketball this morning. We leave you with some of the highlights of the weekend action. 7 weeks away from the playoffs. All the action on ABC Basketball. We'll see you next week.
Restarts to Campbell, catch and shoot, do everything but tumble, and Melvin Thomas has the rebound. Philman to Pillett for the stop.